So often in life, we can feel like there's a gap between where we are and where we want to be. And manifestation techniques aim to close this gap. But the problem with a lot of typical techniques, and I'm definitely not bashing techniques, obviously, if they work for you, then continue doing them. But I think the issue is that sometimes they can actually widen that gap or that perceived gap. So for instance, let's say that you're imagining yourself living in a mansion with your celebrity crush or, your ideal person. And then you open your eyes and you're still in the reality where you perceive yourself as being broke and single. And so sometimes it can actually feel that it can make that disconnect feel even more painful. And it can also, I think a lot of manifestation teachers will say, well, just persist or just ignore the middle or ignore your circumstances. And I do understand why they say to just persist, because I think there is definitely value in believing in your vision and not letting circumstances bring you down, because the truth is that circumstances are just temporary anyway. And so I think there is value in that. But I think the main issue for me is that you're still perceiving yourself as being this separate self and who has to slog it out and do all these techniques or do all these processes. And you're just hoping that one day you'll open your eyes and you'll find yourself in this reality that you imagine would be your ideal reality. But meanwhile, you're living in this other reality that is not ideal for you. And sometimes it could just feel very painful. And also I think the problem is that it can just cause us to feel very fragmented and feel very disconnected from really engaging with our present life and just engaging with life in general. And when really the truth is that God is in everything. And so once you start to see this, you start to see the beauty in every experience. And you stop putting labels and saying, well, this is the experience that I want to have. Like you're almost kind of like you're putting them like in buckets, right? And one bucket is all the things you would consider to be your ideal, right? And then the other bucket is everything that you don't want. And you just think, well, if I can just, right now I'm stuck in this unwanted bucket, but if I can just close my eyes and if I can just persist and if I could just ignore my circumstances, if I could ignore my 3D, then one day I'll make it to that other bucket and I'll quantum leap into the other bucket. And I think there's just a much easier way to do this and a much more enjoyable way to do this, because the truth is that whatever milestone that you're aiming for, the relationship, the money, the job, all of the above, these things that you're aiming for, that's not the entirety of your life experience. And so wouldn't you want your entire life experience to be more enjoyable and more pleasurable, rather than just kind of like a means to an end to get to this milestone? And as I talked about before, even when we reach these milestones, right, sometimes it can feel like a little bit anticlimactic, because no single experience represents the totality of who we are, because in truth we are infinite beings. And so if you think about a movie, so in a movie there are sad parts, scary parts where you feel kind of on the edge of your seat because you don't know what's going to happen next. There's joyful moments, there's mundane moments, there's all of the above. But you wouldn't want to remove, at least if it's a really good movie, you wouldn't want to remove any single moment, any single scene in the movie, because then it would be a completely different movie. And so all of these scenes make up the totality of the movie, right? And so it's not just about fast forwarding to the end, but it's about everything that's in between. And so I want you to really start to see your own life in the same way, and really just to start seeing your life as the masterpiece that it is, and start seeing every moment as being one beautiful component of this masterpiece. And really just to see just the beautiful treasures in your life at all times. And I'm not just talking about things that we perceive as being our external circumstances, but I'm also talking about the inner world, the thoughts, the feelings, those things that we, a lot of times too, right, when we learn about manifestation, I know this is true for me, like I actually became afraid of my thoughts. And if I had something that I perceived as being a negative thought, I would think, oh no, this is going to ruin everything. And really just seeing it all as beautiful, and seeing it all as being this integral whole. And so some things that I use for myself when I kind of find myself kind of falling back into that illusion where I find myself kind of reeling against my circumstances and thinking, oh no, this is a disaster, or this isn't what I wanted, or nothing is working out. I might say to myself something to the effect of, oh, this is just the moment in the movie right before the plot twist comes. Or, the example that I've used before in Pretty Woman, where, Julia Roberts, she's very sad and dejected. This is towards the end of the movie, right? And she's kind of riding off in her taxi, and there's this sad music playing in the background, and then all of a sudden, everything changes for the better, and Richard Gere does end up coming through for her. And of course, pretty much any romantic movie you could fit into this mold. And or the moment in a, let's say, like an action movie or a comic book movie, or the hero thinks that everything is against him, and that actually ends up being the turning point where he actually ends up changing everything for the better. And it's like all of these moments have to exist in order for the whole to exist, in order for the masterpiece to exist. And so I use the hero's journey framework, the Joseph Campbell's hero's journey, to try and kind of make sense of all of this. And even though the further I kind of get along in my life, and kind of as I am starting to kind of see things more from a non-dual perspective, even though I don't quite resonate with the word journey as much, and I also recognize that our lives aren't exactly like a Hollywood movie, right? There's not exactly like a neat beginning, middle, and end. But I do believe that the hero's journey can be a very useful framework just for engaging with our lives, and really just kind of having fun with this whole experience of being in this human avatar. Because that's what I come to realize more and more, is that we are these divine beings, but at the same time, we are having this human experience. And so all these things, right? All these things, even though they're not permanent, so the money, the relationships, the body, all of these different things, the physical sensations, it's all just kind of part of the fun, right? And the more we can see it like this, and the more we can stop making manifestation this super serious thing, right? Where we're just striving all the time and going on our mental diets and always, just keeping your eye on the prize and ignoring the hated 3D, because the thing is, even that quote unquote 3D that a lot of manifestation, people that like to hate on so much, right? Even that is actually the springboard for everything that you want. And just like a penny can eventually turn into $1 million. And in fact, you can't have the $1 million without having the penny, without having all the individual components that make up the $1 million. And even the silence, like I know sometimes when what people like to say, like in the manifestation community, there's no movement and the person isn't talking to us, the clients are not reaching out to us, the money is not coming in. Even in those moments, even though it can feel like nothing is happening, everything is happening. And once we realize, once we kind of get beyond seeing ourselves as just being the separate, limited self, and seeing ourselves as part of this integral whole, and realizing that every moment is charged with infinite potential. And even in what seems like silences, there's still so much going on. And also, once you realize that we're all interconnected, you'll realize that even if you may be physically, or it may seem that you're physically separated from the person, for your special person, or from the client, or from the money, really there is no separation in the divine mind. And so yeah, I think that's really kind of the beauty of this whole experience, is coming to this recognition. But the hero's journey framework kind of helps us to see this. And because I understand, I experience it myself, that the day-to-day, moment-to-moment experience, sometimes it can be very tough. And it can feel like a struggle, and we can, even though the gap is just an illusion, it can still seem very real. And so this framework helps us to see the beauty and the coherence in every single moment. And it really helps us to see truly how we're always exactly where we need to be, doing exactly what we need to be doing. And I know I think Abraham Hicks, right, says everything is always working out for me. And it really is true that everything is always working out for you. And looking at your life through this framework can help you to see how everything is truly always working out for you, and to see how even these perceived obstacles are actually stepping stones to realizing your biggest goals and dreams. And so right now I'm actually doing something where I am, for free, I will write your very own customized hero's journey. And so what you will do is you will send me your vision or your goal or whatever it is that you're currently wanting, whether it's regarding a relationship or money or a career or all of the above. And you'll also write any perceived struggles that you're experiencing in achieving this desire, this goal. And then I will write you a narrative that actually shows you how how everything is actually happening perfectly, and how all of these perceived obstacles and struggles are actually leading you to the realization of your desire, and it's all happening exactly how it's meant to be, and it's just helping you to see your life as the beautiful masterpiece that it is. And so all the details are in the description, and I don't know how long I'm going to be offering this. This is not just the fake scarcity thing that I know a lot of marketers use. It's because it is I like to put a lot of love and care into these, so it does take me a lot of time. And so I think as the demand grows, I'm not sure how long I'm going to be able to continue doing this. So I would highly encourage you to take advantage of it now. So again, all the details are in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and have a wonderful day.